Welcome to The Nerve. I'm Maureen Callahan. So, the first person I would like to take aim at in our very first show is one Jon Hamm. If you're looking for a holiday gift that shows real taste, care, and personality, check out Firecracker Farm Hot Salt. It's the kind of gift that sparks joy and flavor. Now, this is a small family-run operation, and they care deeply about quality and craft. I love this stuff. The flavor is a refined, savory heat. There's no brute force with this, and it elevates everything from scrambled eggs to reverse seared steak to roasted veggies and even popcorn. The catch, it's small batch and in high demand. This is not an Amazon panic buy. It requires planning. They are going to sell out. So skip the forgettable filler. Think ahead. Get Firecracker Farm Hot Salt before it's gone. Get an actual gift instead of clutter that's going in the back of someone's pantry. Will it change your life? Yeah, it probably will. Go to firecracker.farm and use code THENERVE for 10% off while you can. That's firecracker.farm, and you can thank me later. I think Jon Hamm is a very limited actor. He only ever displays barely concealed rage, okay? He's got one speed, that is it. Mad Men, rage. Bridesmaids, he's a douche. The Town, he's playing an FBI agent. He's the good guy. He still manages to make that guy a douche. Now he's in this show called Your Friends and Neighbors, in which he's also playing, yet again, a douche. And in the first episode, this shocks me. I think it's played for laughs. I didn't find it very funny. He assaults his daughter's boyfriend. Watch.
Jake, is it? If you call me sir one more time, I'm going to punch you in the dick.
You're being crazy. Mom, Dad's being crazy.
You're okay with this?
Go inside and get something to eat.
You know about this. You're fine with this. All right. Okay, fuck off, Jake. Fuck right off.
And then the Hamm character makes good on his promise.
I didn't know you were going to be here.
Daddy! What did you do? Oh my God.
I told you to stop calling me
Jake,
sir.
are you okay?
So he punches this 20-year-old kid in the genitals. And then in the following episode, he runs into this kid again. And instead of saying, thanks for not pressing charges, thanks for not suing me civilly, this is what he says.
Well, I hope there's no lasting damage. And more importantly, I hope there's no hard feelings.
Okay, let's talk about lasting damage. When Jon Hamm was a frat boy at the University of Texas at Austin, he was the alleged ringleader of a fraternity hazing so savage, he nearly killed a kid, okay? And we're gonna go through the victim interview that was conducted in the wake of this frat hazing. The victim is named Mark Allen Sanders. And he begins by telling the investigators that he arrived to this frat hazing and one Jon Hamm, his name is misspelled in this transcript, which I have every reason to believe is real. Here is the top sheet of this private investigation. So his name in the transcript is spelled with an H instead of just Jon. Jon Hamm tells him to settle in because it is going to be a very long night. The first challenge that this pledge was supposed to complete was to know all of what Jon Hamm called his bullshit. And the bullshit included his nicknames, one of which was MC Hammer. And because this kid, Mark, could not come up with the proper nicknames, he said he gets mad, meaning Jon Hamm. And I mean really mad. And he grabs us both. So now Jon Hamm has grabbed two pledges by either side, one arm here and one arm here. So think of the strength that takes. So he marches these two little pledges upstairs where they meet two other frat boys who have a paddle. Okay, and this isn't like a ping pong paddle. This is what the victim describes as a two-handed wooden paddle that was at least a foot long. So that's solid wood, okay? They begin to beat Mark Sanders. He says very hard, rearing back. These aren't love taps. He's hitting me left-handed. So he's everywhere. He's on his right side. He's on his left side. Then at a given point, Jon Hamm, again, according to this transcript, takes the paddle, and the victim describes Jon Hamm rearing back, and he hits me right over my right kidney. I mean, square over it, good solid hit, and that stood me up. So now this guy is like dying over where he's been hit in the kidney. He says, I'm hurting bad. I mean, being hit right where the kidney is, it's killing me. This was not the end for Mark. Next comes sawing, in which two of the brothers allegedly pulled up his underwear from inside his pants, Mark's pants. This is what he said. The more they pulled, the way they were pulling was one would be pulling up. They were pulling like it was sawing, and it was hurting, and it hurt. He doesn't even know how long they continued doing that. Now we get to Jon Hamm, who is described as an officer of the fraternity. Mark says that Jon Hamm was, quote, with me all night, never left me. So then Jon Hamm and the group lead me downstairs to the quote unquote pit. And this is like a sort of dirty, super confined space. And Mark is ordered to get in the dirt and begin forcibly doing push-ups, okay? His kidney is so damaged, like he can barely breathe. Now he's got to do push-ups. Jon Hamm, according to this transcript, and another frat boy, quote, they were actually pushing my face to get in the dirt. He told me to get my face in the dirt, and then all the pledges are taken out of there except me. I'm left in there with Jon Hamm, with who I believe is a true sadist. Jon Hamm is going to try to do cleanup on aisle 9. Trust me, you're not going to like it. So this pledge, Mark, brutally beaten, is trying to get up and walk out with the other pledges, just get out of that pit. And Jon Hamm says to him, stay where you are. You're not going anywhere. It's not over yet for you. Next up, if you've ever heard of somebody doing this, I would like to meet you because I've never heard of anything this savage. So now Mark is with Jon Hamm. Okay. He's hearing other guys that are around me because they are so close, but he's really disoriented clearly at this point, Mark is. Somebody's walking on his back, okay? Forcible push-ups, face in the dirt, walking on his back. Then this is where we pick up, quote, I'm told to stand up. So I get up on my knees again. Obviously, he can't even stand up. And this is when Jon Hamm pulls out a lighter and he puts his lighter on. And I was wearing designer jeans, name redacted. And I have this loop on the front, and he took the lighter and caught that on fire. Question, this was Jon Hamm? Mark, yeah, and my head is down. I mean, my chin is in the chest at this point. I see him light the lighter and put it to my pants. Did he say anything when he did that? Question. Mark, yeah, he said something. I don't remember what it was. I tried to put out the fire immediately. Question, with your hand. Mark, yeah, with my hand, but he knocked my hands away. Question, Jon Hamm knocked your hands. Mark, yes, Jon Hamm knocked my hand away, and I was kind of panicking because I was wearing a cotton t-shirt. He could feel the heat. I actually tried to put it out with my hand. This is Mark again. And Jon Hamm, wouldn't let me. He made me blow it out with my mouth. So the fire is put out, but Jon Hamm's not done. Now he's picked up a hammer. And I'll say it's Jon Hamm, Mark says, because he was the one wearing a dark overcoat. And I could see in the arm the hammer, and this dark overcoat. So Jon Hamm takes that hammer claw, hooks it under Mark Sanders' genitals, and drags him around the room for about a solid minute. Let's talk about lasting damage, because this guy barely escaped with his life. He tells the investigators when he sits down with them weeks later that he's been to the doctor. He has a broken back. His spine is fractured. His doctor has told him he may lose his right kidney. He has extreme trauma. My kidney spasms and it rebruises itself. This is Mark. And he told me it was from being hit right over it, the kidney. I can remember feeling being hit hard right over this. Oh, he was also beaten with a broomstick. I forgot that part. Right over my rib cage. Whenever I breathe, my lung actually can't go all the way because it's pinned between my rib cages from, I assume it was beaten down some, beaten into me. He's got ligament damage, cartilage damage, artery, vein, nerve damage. His rib cage is bruised severely. If you've ever had rib cage pain, if you've ever broken a rib or had surgery, you know what that's like. He's worried that he's going to lose his kidney. The whole right side of my body, Mark tells them, is swollen severely. He has tried to give me medication to stop the swelling on my back, but it doesn't work. It doesn't help. Another pledge who survived that night said in his statement that he was so scared, even though he lives 3 hours away, that he was so scared to return to Austin because, quote, he doesn't know to what extent they, Jon Hamm and his frat brothers, will go to get even for reporting this crime. Now, if I remember this correctly, because I remember reading about it when it first came out, and nobody really covered it. It didn't really get pickup. And I could never understand why. People have been canceled for a lot less. I mean, Kevin Spacey right now is selling off every piece of real estate he's ever purchased during his long and storied career. As far as I know, he has never been convicted of rape. He has never been criminally convicted in a court of law in America. I think he got convicted of something in the UK. But, you know, really, he was kind of a pig and he was gross and he was handsy, but he didn't do anything approaching this, as far as I know. Kevin Spacey can't get hired. Alec Baldwin is making a movie in Italy right now, okay? He just finished a reality show that was an attempt to clean up his image. He shot and killed a woman on a set that he ran that saw the bulk of the crew members walk out the day of the shooting over firearm safety concerns. But because Jon Hamm looks like this, by the way, this is the New Interview magazine. He's interviewed by his good friend Tina Fey, in which they just tongue bathe each other. He says to her, it's not fun to work with people that aren't fun. Like him, I guess. He also says that he's a firm subscriber to the no assholes policy. Because if you're on that list of being an asshole, you're not getting calls. Not for nothing, but Tina Fey admitted in her book, Bossy Pants, and she's spoken about this in interviews, you can Google them, you'll find them, that she was a mean girl in high school. This is another topic we're gonna get to later in the show, mean girls. And I always wondered about people like her, like Kirsten Wiig, you know, who sort of like helped Jon Hamm enter that SNL little clique, that comedy world. And my theory about them is that they were never the homecoming queens. They were the comedy nerd girls who kind of didn't fit in. And a guy like Jon Hamm comes along and pays them some attention and their knees buckle. They can't believe it. They can't believe a guy this hot would look twice at them. And so they're doing dirty work for him. In my opinion, you can't tell me they don't know about this. If I know about it, they have to know about it. And now we all know about it. Ryan Reynolds is a psychopath, in my opinion. And he brought it all on himself. He made us open this Pandora's box when he and his equally vile, loathsome wife, Blake Lively, went after Justin Baldoni and tried to ruin Justin's life, his family, his career, and his reputation. Just, you know, the only things that really matter in this world. So we're going to begin, and I'm going to lay out my case with a ton of evidence. Okay, so settle in. We're going to begin with a clip that recently went viral. Ryan, once again, on a red carpet, being a complete jerk, this time to Eugene Levy. Eugene Levy, who is beloved and who, Ryan, was chosen by none other than Prince William recently for an exclusive one-on-one interview, okay? So let's take a look at Ryan seeming to bully Eugene, who visibly looks confused, okay, on the red carpet. And this is for the premiere of the documentary about the late John Candy. And it's basically the premise of it. Remember, Ellen DeGeneres, Queen of Nice, right? People who are obsessed with depicting kindness and promoting it, watch out. This is Ryan with Eugene on the red carpet at the premiere of this documentary, which took place on September 4th. Let's take a look. Now, Ryan seems to be telling Eugene, and he dismisses him. And Eugene, like, go away. These are my journalists. This is my moment. Shuffle off, old man. Shuffle off. Hey, I'm going to smack that smile on now and shake hands with this journalist who's waiting for me. Okay, we got it. We're good. So this is what Ryan's comfortable doing in public, which tells me that he is capable of a lot worse in private. And you guys will not believe what we found. You're not going to believe it. So to begin, here is your friend and mine, Megyn Kelly, interviewing Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, about the behaviors alleged here by Blake and Ryan.
He was involved in this to some extent. There was a meeting at their apartment at which you allege that there were some senior production people who witnessed him allegedly berate Justin Baldoni to the point where these third parties felt upset that they didn't do more to stand up for Justin, that they thought Ryan Reynolds was so abusive.
Now, you know how we always say here at The Nerve, now at The Nerve at Night, that so many celebrities tell us exactly who they are, that they hide in plain sight. So take a listen to Ryan's very quick answer, very quick comeback to a very basic question.
Strangers describe me as
extremely disloyal.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it, Ryan. Now, as this lawsuit filed by Blake Lively dropped like a bomb and Justin Baldoni countersued, non-celebrities, civilians in the know, felt emboldened to share their stories about Ryan, even if anonymously, which shows you they're still scared to a degree. And that tells us something. That tells us a lot. And by the way, Ryan pretty obviously trolled Justin in Deadpool and Wolverine. If you want to see those clips, you can easily find them online. I'm not going to show it here because we here at The Nerve are Team Justin. But that is how bold and untouchable Ryan Reynolds thinks he is, mocking a fellow filmmaker in his own movie. Okay? So here, take a listen and a look at Kennedy, who is my colleague at the Daily Mail, talking on her podcast about Ryan threatening another hardworking industry person. And this clip is about 6 months old. Take a look.
And Ryan Reynolds, by all accounts, seems like a great guy. He is acting. By all accounts, he is a total pain in the ass. I heard a story yesterday of a studio executive who was so frustrated with him when they were shooting Deadpool 2 because Ryan Reynolds had to do some reshoots for the movie. His makeup artist was out of the country working. Ryan Reynolds threatened to fire the makeup artist off the rest of the film and the reshoots they had to do, and also said, if you don't come back and do my makeup for these reshoots, you will never work in Hollywood again. He's one of those guys.
If that is indeed true, and I have every reason to believe it, it all tracks. He's really a monster who just gets off on bullying other people and making them do his bidding. There are no shortage of professional makeup artists that he could have hired and called upon, and there's no shortage of magic that they can't work post-production for anything. You're behind a mask the whole movie. Why do you fucking need him? Oh. Anyway, okay. Building our case. I need to keep my composure. Now, next, let's watch and listen as the actor TJ Miller, who is himself controversial, but what he has to say rings true. TJ very openly tells Adam Carolla on Adam's show about why he's never going to work, would never work with Ryan Reynolds again.
Would I work with him again? No. I sort of wish him well because he's so good at Deadpool, and I think it's weird that he hates me.
Do you know he hates
We
you?
had a really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, let's do one more take. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me, as if I'm Weasel. So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star. You do just enough exposition that is funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
So he's riffing.
I just kind of listened and thought it was weird. And then I got off stage and I walked over and the whole crew was acting weird. And then I went up to Kate and I was like, that was weird, right? And she was like, of course it was fucking weird. It was insane. Everybody was like, why is Ryan doing this? And the other weird thing is like, you know, I think he's kind of an insecure dude. His Twitter bio is showing you the parts of me that tested the best in focus groups. And I'm not sure that he's joking.
I don't think he's joking. I think Ryan Reynolds couches everything in like a wink and a smile and like an insincere laugh. As I've said, dead eyes, his dead eyes. And I think that he presents what tests well. I think he does. And I think he's creepy AF. I really do. Now, what is to come as we build up to the big crime, in my view, is proof that Ryan is, in fact, a sadist and a psychopath. And God, do I feel for the 4 children that he and Blake have. And, you know, it's got to make you wonder, because Taylor Swift was tight with these two for a very long time. You are the company you keep. Now, you may know that Ryan stars as Deadpool mainly because he never shuts up about it. Here's a fun anecdote that Ryan shared about the making of the most recent Deadpool movie until clearly his publicist or his crisis manager told him to shut his mouth. So this is the story that Ryan tells of bullying his own child, his daughter Inez, 7 years old. She told him, I think this kid didn't even want to be in the movie at all. But he said, here's the line of dialogue I want you to read. And she told him she didn't want to do it. And not least because it is a sexually graphic line. She really, really didn't want to do it. And I would imagine there were tears. And you know what? Let's listen to Ryan himself talking to the movie's director, Sean Levy, about how this little domestic conflict, which he brought to the set of his movie, I'm sure it was very, very disruptive, resolved itself. This, by the way, is from the movie's official commentary. Here we go.
Our fight isn't with
Hey,
you.
when I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
That's kid.
Guiltily, that is my daughter,
I'm
Inez.
so sorry we have to admit that.
And I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language, which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say, and then came back later and said, I want to say it now, when I started looking at other people to
Sure,
play.
Yeah,
Ryan.
but Ryan, to our discredit, we made Nezzy do, I'm not shitting you,
Nezzy.
70 to 500 versions of that line.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a big gap between 70 versions and 500 versions. So I'm going to guess these two sadists who think they're making great cinema over here made this 7-year-old who said, hey, Dad, if she even calls him that, she's probably way more familiar with the nannies. I don't want to do this. I don't want to say this language. I don't want to talk about somebody having a dick in their mouths. I'm 7. To quote Willow Smith, when her parents were like, hey, you should go audition for this thing, she said, how about I just be 12? This is per a Newsweek report by Aaron Rasmussen, dated March 27th, 2025. The Newsweek headline, Ryan Reynolds under fire for letting daughter 7. That's the wrong word, letting. I think that word should be bullying. This is why you have to look at everything that's in front of your face. It's diabolical. Letting daughter 7 deliver not safe for work Deadpool line. The two then moved on to other topics. But their discussion, I believe this is from the Newsweek piece, caught the attention of critics on a Reddit forum. Again, critics, I just think logical, sane people. I don't think they're critics. What, because you take issue with something a celebrity has done, has self-admittedly done? You're a critic? Anyway, people I'd love to have a cocktail with on a Reddit forum titled Ryan Reynolds admits to coaching his daughter to deliver, quote, sick and disturbing line in Deadpool and Wolverine. Comment 1. There is no reason she needed to deliver that line herself. It is a character with a mask and no visible mouth. It could easily have been dubbed over. And you know who it could have been done by, Ryan? Adults who specialize in doing child voices, like the Pamela Adlins of the world, like the adult actors who specialize in doing like animated TV shows and films. But no, that wouldn't quench the sadist in Ryan. Number 2, I wouldn't care if it was just swearing, but getting a kid to make a sexual joke is gross. Agreed. A third remarked, quote, I don't care what the intent was behind that. And again, we're in this world where, well, my intent, and I could make it up ad hoc, I could make it up after the fact, is supposed to ameliorate, if not explain away and excuse the very thing I did. I don't give a shit about your intent. The law doesn't, whatever. I mean, the law sometimes does care about intent, but I'll leave that to the lawyers. The comment, I don't care what the intent was behind the line. It is overtly sexual, and no kid has any business saying it, let alone in a movie made by their parent. And in fact, said parent, if they were doing their job, would keep their kid far away from anything having to do with that, okay? And by the way, in that very scene, the gags, these like in jokes that celebrities love to play because they think we all like appreciate them. We don't. I don't give a shit. Blake Lively is behind one of those masks as in a character. She's standing next to her own daughter. So she was apparently on set that day when Ryan and Sean Levy were making their 7-year-old daughter, Blake's and Ryan, say that line, get your dick out of your mouth 500 times. This is, AI exists, you asshole. Okay, this is from a YouTube channel called Flawsome. I hope I'm saying your name right, with Kirsty Flaw.
I can fake empathy pretty well.
Believe him. Just believe him, because I don't think he's capable of empathy. People who are actually empathetic, and that's anyone who's not a psychopath, we all have empathy, and we don't talk about having to fake it because we have it, and it's a gift. It's what makes us human. Ryan doesn't have empathy. That's why he's talking about how he can fake it and fake it well. I actually don't think he's a great actor. I've never bought his shtick. I've always thought he was really dark. I've always thought he has dead eyes and he wants to be liked way too much. And when you want everybody to like you, you got a real problem. Because not everybody's going to like you. So why bother? Just be yourself. But he can't be himself. Only in glimpses do we get it, right? So here we go. Here's another one. And this is how long he's been doing this, by the way. He also told this howler, he thinks this is a funny anecdote, about taking a dick pic with his father's camera and leaving the family dinner table to do it. This was on the Conan O'Brien show. So this is 10 years ago. Here's Ryan.
I was a terrible child. Let me preface it with that. I was about 18 years
telling the
old.
truth.
And in the middle of the dinner once, I grabbed the camera and I went in the bathroom and I
Father's
just
camera?
took a picture of my penis. Yeah. And I just wanted to see if he would naturally edit these photos at some point. Nope.
He sent it out?
Yeah. So I think there's one day, I hope it doesn't happen, but there's a penis picture of mine floating around somewhere.
Well,
This is how like normalized this really like it's deviant behavior, I think, has become. Like the studio audience just laughed because he's a famous movie star and he's clean cut and he looks wholesome and he has a pretty wife. And I mean, I don't know at that time if he was married to Scarlett Johansson, but I can only imagine the stories she's got. But he looks presentable and he's on a respected late night talk show. And, this is a quirky anecdote and really it's not, it's really effing dark. And note there, by the way, how he blamed his father for his deviant behavior because daddy wasn't paying attention. So we had to do something to get it. Now to the big one, the big reveal. And by the way, when we show you this, you will see why I think that there is credence to the long-standing rumor that Ryan Reynolds, when he was a paper boy, bullied another paperboy so viciously that he allegedly, reportedly, longstanding rumor, Reddit threads devoted to it, made that child eat dog feces. Ryan Reynolds is, by his own admission, an arsonist. He set a fire. I have to be careful here. He set a fire that burned down his own elementary school, and he got away with it. And I think he thinks it's funny. And he thinks it's funny because I'm going to reference an old interview that he thinks has been scrubbed from the internet. And you know what, Ryan? I'm a pretty good investigative reporter, and I've got a really great team at The Nerve who's devoted to unmasking monsters like you. So this fire made the front page of the Vancouver Sun, the Canadian Vancouver Sun, which we dug up. This edition is dated Monday, March 30th, 1987. It was written by Gavin Wilson. This is a very well-written story. We are showing this on screen. This is the front page, and look at the accompanying photo. This was an enormous fire, enormous. I quote from this article. 200 Queensborough children are off school today. Remember, it's a Monday edition, after a fire onlookers described as, quote, a thundering mass of flames, end quote, destroyed the aging Queen Elizabeth Elementary School early this morning. My aside, Ryan probably set this fire late on Sunday night or very early on Sunday morning. So just some wholesome suburban fun, okay? Returning to this news article, quote, the fierce blaze almost leveled the school at 510 Ewan, even though the nearest fire station, is just 300 meters away. New Westminster police said arson is being investigated. While the school burned, Queensborough residents, many of them former students, were drawn out of their homes by the flames. Queen Elizabeth School was the only school in Queensborough, a tightly knit community on the northeast tip of Lulu Island. It's a heartbreaker, said Irene Uwaski, 59, a past president of the school's PTA. All 10 of her children have passed through the Queen Elizabeth school doors. There were some former students out here, and the tears were just rolling down their faces, she said. School principal Drew Knox said that the 207 students will be staying home for several days until the school district can decide where they can attend classes. One option is to bus them up to Westminster, he said. Setting up temporary classrooms at the local community center will also be considered. I mean, class at the local community center, how depressing can you get? Now, how do we know for sure that Ryan set this fire and destroyed this school? Because he told us, in part. I'm going to go through his version of events here because we just read that news story together. School was leveled. Fire station right there. By the time they arrived on the site of this fire, the thing had almost burned to the ground. So because Ryan's a liar, my opinion, I'm going to say don't believe the things he says here. Don't believe the out that he gives himself here. And the things that he says, again, they contradict the other reports and the testimony we have heard from his drama teacher, that email that Candace Owen read, and that Vancouver Sun report that we just read. This is from an interview of Ryan Reynolds that the Nerve Central dug up. We at Nerve Central dug this up in the Arizona Daily Star, an American publication, dated Wednesday, September 8th, 2004. Byline, Phil Villarreal. The headline, Ryan Reynolds is funny even when he's serious. I beg to differ, Phil, but I also know that writers don't actually write the headlines. That is true. Editors do that. Okay, anyway, quoting from the relevant portion of this profile, while Ryan was out promoting that cinematic piece of art, Blade Trinity, and I'm just being a bitch about it. Listen, I love popcorn movies, but Ryan's an asshole, and he has it coming from every potential direction I can give it to him. Quote from this article, Reynolds, then 28, Reynolds said he'd always been an instigator. He calls himself a, quote, bad kid, end quote, and backs up the claim. Again, Phil, he just told you, just believe him. Backs up the claim with the admissions that he failed high school drama class because he ditched in parens, quote, I was out working on my personal drama, Ryan said, end parens, and that he once burned down a wing of his elementary school. Sorry, Ryan, that Vancouver Sun piece with photographs shows and reports that you destroyed the entire structure. A wing? Get the fuck out of here, okay? And then that he covered up the crime until now. I'm picking it back up with Phil. I apologize to all the fine students and the faculty, said Reynolds, who admits that he set fire to a tree, which led to a building catching fire. First of all, who sets fire to a tree? I could cry. Like a beautiful, living, innocent thing. He sets fire to it. And then somehow a building caught fire. A wing caught fire. I don't believe it. I think he set fire to the school. I do. I think he deliberately set fire to the school. Ryan Reynolds quoted here in the same piece by Phil Villarreal. Quote, no one found out who it was. I think the statute of limitations has run out. Trust me, Ryan checked before he admitted this, okay? Back to the piece, back to this quote. Ryan, I just hope I don't find out that some poor schmo has spent time in jail for it. Trust me, Ryan would have loved that. Would have loved it. Here is something that I personally learned, while I was reporting my book, American Predator. And I learned this from some of the finest minds the FBI has ever seen. It's like textbook studies if you're at Quantico. But up until this point, I didn't know it because I never thought about arsonists before. Why would I? Arsonists, almost 100% of the time, have a sexual relationship with fire. It is sexual for them. Setting fires, watching fire burn, watching firefighters try to put fires out. This is all sexual for them. And I'm going to guess that after Ryan set that fire, he went and hid somewhere where he could watch the fire department respond and he could watch people come out of their houses and cry because it's a sexual fetish for him. My opinion. So if I can contribute anything to the culture for posterity, it is this. My opinion, just my opinion, that Ryan Reynolds, who's out there as a wholesome husband and dad who just happens to be a movie star and is BFFs with Hugh Jackman, is sexually aroused by setting fires. And you'll never, and smacking kids, and making them say sexually graphic things that they don't want to say, like 500 times. So you will never watch, if I've done my job, a Ryan Reynolds movie again. If you have ever read the label on a typical bag of chips, it is a horror show. It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, mystery ingredients, but luckily there is an alternative. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa's chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the junk, they taste incredible. I love them. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash, bloat, or sluggish feeling afterwards. You won't find yourself binging and feeling hungry. Personally, my favorite flavor of Masa is the original, but the white, the blue, the lime, the habanero, the churro, they're all also really delicious. If you love Masa, then you'll love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I have ever tasted. Okay, Masa's tortilla, Vandy is potato. If you are ready to give Masa or Vandy or both a try, use code Maureen for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com. Or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you prefer shopping in person, Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. Matthew Broderick has always seemed off. Honestly, I've always suspected she was just his beard. I don't trust anyone who willingly spends time with SJP, but that's not the reason he should join her in the wood chipper. My evidence: in 1987, while dating Jennifer Grey, the actress most famous for Dirty Dancing, he drove into the wrong lane in Ireland and hit another car head on, killing 28-year-old Anna Gallagher and her 63-year-old mother, Margaret Doherty. He was charged with vehicular manslaughter, but got it reduced to careless driving. And after killing 2 people, paid only a fucking $175 fine. To make it worse, the assholes later bought and renovated a home in Northern Ireland where locals can't stand them and want them gone. So this email led me to go back and read more about it. And because this happened all before the internet, right? So what came up first was this Radar Online story, which was published on April 1st, 2025 by Haley Gunn. The headline: exclusive, Matthew Broderick and Sarah Jessica Parker sparking disgust by living it up in Ireland mansion miles from where Ferris Bueller star killed 2 women. They've purchased a mansion, or they're building a mansion. They show the photos in this report, mere miles from the scene of this fatal crash that apparently, I mean, he was charged, Matthew Broderick caused. Okay. Now she's online showing glimpses of life at the quote Broderick Parker home in County Donegal. And this is a mansion. Okay. It is a mansion. I mean, have some fucking shame. If you're going to do it, don't throw it up on social media. Okay. Now this is what happened according to reports at the time and as they exist now. In August of 1987, Matthew Broderick was behind the wheel of a rented BMW with his then girlfriend, Jennifer Grey. He turned into the wrong lane, crashing head on into another vehicle. And those occupants, that 63-year-old woman named Margaret and her 28-year-old daughter, Anna, were killed instantly. So that means Matthew Broderick had to be going pretty fucking fast. And he was not driving carefully, because I've driven in Ireland. And when you drive and you're on the wrong side of the road, in America, it's not the wrong side of the road, it's the other side of the road. And your orientation is completely off. And if anything, you're driving more cautiously than more recklessly. Okay. But I guess Matthew Broderick, I don't know, having the time of his life. He was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, but that charge was reduced to careless driving. And his punishment, again, was that $75 fine our troublemaker referenced. So if that's how much these 2 non-famous lives were worth, I guess, $87.50 each. But those 2 are over there living it up in their mansion. Are you looking to support more made in the USA manufacturing this holiday season? Whether it's home decor, clothing, or unique gifts, it's become harder than ever to find high quality products that aren't made overseas. And that's where A Warehouse comes in. It's your one-stop shop for artisanal, one-of-a-kind gifts with products from over 100 different vendors. They are deeply committed to supporting American makers and manufacturers. Their easy to navigate online marketplace lets you browse a wide range of independent creators so you can feel good knowing that your purchase supports real people and ethical business practices. This holiday season, explore A Warehouse's gift guides and holiday collection featuring handmade ornaments, greeting cards, thoughtful gifts under $50, and more made in the USA favorites that make any gift truly meaningful. A Warehouse believes that a thoughtful gift isn't about fancy labels or big brand names. It's about the dedication, creativity, and care that goes into every product. So join the growing community of shoppers supporting over 100 vetted small business makers. Head over to awarehouseshop.com and use code THENERVE for 15% off your first order. That's awarehouseshop.com, code THENERVE. Alec Baldwin crashed his Range Rover, which he made a point to say it was his wife's. Why, I don't know. Wrapped it around a tree, basically, okay? I have a lot to say about this. And this also coincides, it was like days after his wife got kicked off of Dancing with the Stars, and she's clearly back in the house, and things are not going well. I would surmise. Now, I have several things to say about this. So he crashes there was a nor'easter here, okay? On the Northeast. That's why they're called nor'easters. Sorry. And he's out driving around like an asshole. If you don't have to be on the road when it's slick and windy, especially out in the Hamptons, which like there are very few buffers out there. It is a lot of farmland. There are no buffers. It is very raw out there in the fall and the winter, and it's beautiful, but it's raw. But no, Alec Baldwin had to get in his Range Rover and go drive somewhere around noon. Okay. So he crashes this Range Rover, and he says he goes on Instagram and he talks about why this isn't his fault. And, you know, is this any surprise? Because this is a guy who killed Helena Hutchins by shooting her with a loaded gun that never should have been loaded on the set of Rust, and said it wasn't his fault. She told him where to point the gun at her, and it wasn't his job to know that the gun was loaded or not. It was just his effing production. Oh my God, it wasn't like they had a million complaints from the underpaid crew that there were firearms being played with left and right, and there was no sense of protocol or safety in place, and this was an accident waiting to happen. So Alec, you know, got off scot-free for that, and I'll circle back to this in a minute. Let's watch Alec. He went to Instagram talking to us as though we've all been on the edge of our sofas with our heads in our hands, wringing our hands, wanting to know, is Alec Baldwin all right? Let's take a look.
I just want to post a quick message. I got all this inquiries about my car thing this morning. I was in a car accident this morning. I'm fine. My brother Stephen was out visiting me.
Thank God.
On Long Island, and we spent the weekend out there for the film festival. I do want to take an opportunity to congratulate everybody on the staff of the film festival, David Nugent.
First things first.
And everyone, Casey,
everyone. Killed someone.
I can't think of all the names. Our board, our sponsors, Stuart Suna, my co-chair on the board, Randy Mastro, everyone. On the film festival.
We're just going to stop it. This sounds like an Oscar speech. You can go watch the whole thing if you want. Alex says it wasn't his fault. Okay, he says he was just trying to make a turn, you know, and like the garbage truck in front of him effed up. It was the garbage truck driver's fault, and that's why he crashed into a tree. Now I'm going to tell you a few things that I know personally. Number one, you know, I live out east. Like you guys know this, okay? The top speed limit, is like 40 miles an hour. The average speed limit is like 30 miles an hour. And the cops are out there on Route 27, where he crashed his car, constantly with their radar guns, because they make a lot of money giving assholes like him tickets. Secondly, the most dangerous thing an impatient driver can do, I'm going to surmise that Alec is impatient. We know he has rage issues. Is attempt to go around a garbage truck by making a right-hand turn. How do I know this? Because my father was a truck driver for many years, and then he went on to run the safety department of a major garbage trucking company in New York. And he knew all about this stuff, okay? So I know that. Thirdly, when somebody like Alec Baldwin does that and then tries to put the blame on the truck driver, you know what's going to happen? That truck driver is going to be out of a freaking job, and they're not going to get hired by another trucking company because they caused a serious accident. At least as in Alex telling, wasn't his fault. He was just behind the wheel trying to make an improper turn because he couldn't wait for the garbage truck to get done doing its business, because there's probably garbage backed up because there was a nor'easter, okay? Now, it's the other thing I know. Those trucks always have cameras everywhere, including on the inside, because when stuff like this happens, the heads of those companies and their lawyers need to get eyes on it to know what is what. So Newsmax got the dash cam footage of said crash and put it on the internet. So let's watch it. Alec, I hope you're watching.
Now, with video, you will see only here on Newsmax. We've just obtained exclusive dash cam video showing the moment actor Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the east end of New York's Long Island. The video is from the front-facing camera on a commercial truck. You're seeing the truck here making what's believed to be a legal right turn, and then it slows down.
Seconds later, Baldwin's SUV is seen hitting a mailbox and a tree off to the right side of the truck. The actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen Baldwin in the passenger seat. He said he was trying to avoid hitting this truck, so he veered off the road into the tree. It does not appear, though, that anyone was injured in the crash, but obviously not
That
Baldwin's
is not
first
possible.
encounter
Okay, we
with
can stop
police.
right there. First of all, I love how they dug in like avowed Trump hater. Like the minute the car hits the tree, you know, as if it's sort of like a thing from the gods. Very funny. And I'm laughing only because nobody was hurt. But secondly, that footage contradicts exactly what Alec said. Alec was trying to get around the truck because he didn't want to stay behind it. He needed to get somewhere. He needed to get to his film festival where he's a big shot. You know, look what happened. Now, this to me is the outgrowth of what happens in celebrity justice. And we're seeing some of it with Diddy now. We'll see where he gets sent. But Alec Baldwin, his trial ended and he cannot be charged again in the shooting death of Helena Hutchins because the prosecution made legal errors that disqualified the case from moving forward. Okay. But this is, I'm telling you, this is what happens when these celebrities face zero consequences, even for ending a life in a violent and brutal manner, and then refusing to take responsibility for it, to express remorse for it, and they get off scot-free. Alec Baldwin remains a public menace. And the other thing I know for sure is that Alec's got the police department in East Hampton in his pocket. Before he wound up losing a lot of his money in these court cases, he was donating millions of dollars. His hands are in everything out in East Hampton. There's a wing of the public library named after him. Guildhall, he's got money in. You want to tell me he's not donating to the police and fire departments out there? They didn't even write this guy a ticket, and East Hampton loves to issue parking tickets, speeding tickets, all manner of tickets, and he walked off. And if this guy winds up killing somebody someday, a lot of people are going to have blood on their hands. What am I saying? He already killed someone. If he winds up killing somebody else, we will see you next time on The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next.